I would have never ever removed Article 370. One day I will be separatist ka beta, and the next day I will be BJP ka chota bhai. You don't unfurl the national flag in every mohalla. To unfurl it in Lal Chowk, neither is it a part of any patriotic test.
Hello and welcome to HD's weekly talk show, The Interview. On Republic Day this year, the tricolour was unfurled in Srinagar's Lal Chowk. While the BJP called the move historic, many in Jammu and Kashmir called it forced nationalism. What is the real story? How correct is BJP's claim about the national flag at Lal Chowk flying high after 30 years? Let's find out from Sajad Lone, former minister and chairman, Jammu and Kashmir People's Conference, in this edition of HD's weekly talk show, The Interview. Welcome to the show, Mr. Sajad Lone, and thank you for being with us.
It's a pleasure.
Let me begin with the national flag. The BJP is going to town over the flag unfurling in Lal Chowk on Republic Day. What is your take?
Well, flag has been unfurled for the last, I think, 70 odd years. So I have lived here. Well, I'm not 70, but I'm not that young either. But I have seen it being unfurled many times. In fact, when I was in school, I was in the cultural show also at the Republic Day parades. And even in Lal Chowk, I remember 92, 90, in Ekta Yatra, they unfurled it. So there is nothing, I don't think there is any newness to the flag.
But isn't it a fact that since 1992, the flag has not been unfurled at the Lal Chowk?
It has been in 1992, it has been before that, and I don't think there is any record whether it was unfurled in Lal Chowk or not, because it's neither a part of constitution to unfurl it in Lal Chowk, neither is it a part of any patriotic test. So whether it was never unfurled. You don't unfurl the national flag in every mohalla.
But Mr. Lone, Lal Chowk has been controversial, and the Pakistan flag has been flying there several times. And also on Republic Day, many times the people did not allow the tricolour to be flagged. Therefore, it is controversial and not a mohalla, as you say.
I'll tell you something. This is unfortunately now this is the narrative that's being peddled all across India, and then our children go to study and they face problems. Common people have never ever interfered with the unfurling of the national flag. Maybe some anti-social elements, fine. They are all across India. They are in every part of the world. But common man, no. Common people, no. Common woman, no. So please don't peddle this narrative. Then our people, when they go to other parts of India, they are looked upon as enemies of India, which is not true. In fact, to be very honest with you, the sacrifice is being rendered by an average Kashmiri in terms of human lives for the sake of India. No other state can compete with it. Every single day you will see a Kashmiri being killed by Pakistani bullets, whether he's a policeman, whether he's a civilian. And on top of it, instead of getting some sort of appreciation, you come up with this thinking, no, that the flag was not being allowed to unfurl. It's unfair, isn't it? Very unfair.
I take your point, and fair enough. But but I will still ask, is it still not a fact that since 1992 in Lal Chowk, the flag was not allowed to be unfurled?
It's not a fact. No, it's not a fact.
When was it unfurled between 1992 and 2022?
96, 98, 99. I'm making them up. Do you have any, can you disprove it? No. There is no proof of either even it having been, not having been unfurled or having been unfurled. So why are we discussing something which we have no records about?
All right. Let me ask you this differently. And I ask this not to belittle Kashmir or the people of Kashmir at all. I'm only asking you to say, or to maybe look at if there is a changed narrative this time around. That's the point of the question. Don't you think it is a turning point?
First of all, it's not a turning point. I don't take this flag narrative the way you are taking it, neither the incident, and I'm telling you, no, it's not a fact. that it was not unfurled since 1992. It's an innuendo. But having said that, I'll tell you something. My dream as an Indian is that Kashmir should become an integral part of India, not because we have bunkers, because people of Kashmir want to be a part of India. That's my dream. And there is a lot of time before we can realize that dream. We have to work hard towards it. We have to convince the Kashmiri that their future lies with India. And they should be a part of India. So the dream for me is when I don't see any bunkers, when I don't see any security people, and I see people with the flags. That is my dream, and we will work for it, irrespective of the impediments that narratives like this will try to create.
So, what would you then call this narrative which the BJP has peddled, saying that this is after 1992 or the first time that this has happened? What is your take on that narrative?
I don't know. I mean, this is the digital world. If the BJP is able to peddle a narrative which might not be based on facts, then I will not accuse the BJP of anything, but then it's the people. They have to look inwards and see, what they are seeing and what they are believing. As politicians at political parties, will always peddle a narrative, whether it's based on facts or it's not. But at the end of the day, the onus lies on the people of India to decide what is true and what is not. If they want to take a ride in a world of make-believe, so be it.
What would you say to what some of the activists there claimed? And I quote, since independence, we have seen only Pakistani flags here. Today, hoisting the national flag on top of the clock tower is what Naya Kashmir stands for. Unquote.
But I don't know those Kashmiris. I have never seen them. But for the entire country, they are shown as leaders and activists in Kashmir. This is a part of the big problem today is that you pick up someone, ये जी activist है, वो क्या activist है? When we talk of the rest of the country, we talk about institutions, about political parties, about leaders. When you come to J&K, you bring these activists, anonymous activists. Don't anonymize Kashmir. मैं आपको बोल रहा हूँ, मैं भी एक छोटा मोटा लीडर यहाँ का हूँ, कि ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, आप उन्हें कोई एक्टिविस्ट ने बोला.
What you're saying is that these so-called activists have just been paraded there for sake of a false narrative. Is that what you're saying?
No, that is what you are saying. I'm not saying this. All I'm saying is, there was nothing eventful. There have been problems in the past on 26th January. There can be problems in the future.
Having said this, and again, I'm sorry, I have to come back to the flag, though you don't want to talk about it, but the flag which was unfurled with such fanfare, the BJP went to town with all that. Within 2 hours, it was taken down. Do you think it was fear that it could be damaged? And before that happens, let us take it down. And again, you may say there is no record of this, but in August 2020, I'm told that by the evening, the flag was not only pulled down, but thrown into the Dal Lake.
Many things that Kashmiris are being accused of are not always done by Kashmiris, but there are many vested interests. There are a lot of agencies. There are a lot of other people who do it. And at the end of the day, it's put on a Kashmiri.
There is one view where it is believed that this was more quote unquote forced nationalism rather than voluntary nationalism or mere tokenism. What would you say to that?
ऐसा नहीं है. I don't think. There is no doubt that in Kashmir there is an alternative stream or alternative ideology which believes in secession. But I don't think that every Kashmiri, most of the Kashmiris are human beings. They have normal day-to-day problems like you, like me. They get up in the morning and think how to make a living, how to look after the children. Politics comes much later. So I don't think forced nationalism. I will not equate national flag with tokenism. No, not at all. Whosoever did it was able to do it. And we just hope and pray that more people do it. Forced nationalism, Kashmiri par na dalein. No, let's not put it on the Kashmiri. Yeah, what I'm trying to tell you is that it's not enforced nationalism, but Kashmiris have decided to keep quiet. We are Kashmiri speaking 7 million people or 6 million people, totally disempowered. Nobody can say a word. And then you have 135 crore brave Indians clapping lustily that fine, these are the real enemies. They just keeping quiet. None of us, our own countrymen, have decided to leave us in the lurch and not talk on behalf of us, not fend for us, So we are literally on our own and you can't do anything. This is the age of majoritarianism. And given the narrative, that's why I was getting so perturbed at the narrative, is that the reality is that the policeman you see sacrificing his life is a Kashmiri like me, speaks Kashmiri like me, and 9 out of 10 times is a Muslim. So he's a Muslim, he's a Kashmiri, and takes a Pakistani bullet. He's young, 27, 28, 30, 32. He is the one who's rendering sacrifice. And somebody else is peddling nationalism across India.
When you say somebody else, who are you hinting at? Or who are you talking
I'm
about?
talking of you, for example, or somebody else. You are supposed to be more Indian than me. I don't know why. For you going to the stadium and sitting there and clapping while the national flag is unfurled, your test of nationalism is over. Ours is not over even when they take a Pakistani bullet and are in the grave. Still, they are asked to prove that whether they are Indian or not.
Let us talk about the abrogation of Article 370. Is it taking effect and what are the plus points?
I would have never removed it. I would have never ever removed Article 370. Tha wahan, it was in a very enervated form. The earlier governments had eroded it to around 90%. There was a 10% thing left. It was there. It had a psychological appeal, a feeling of exclusiveness, not differentness. It was exclusiveness, ladla pantha. And that has been taken away. And I honestly, if you're thinking that there's going to be some payoff, political payoff or a psychological payoff, I don't see any.
At one point you said that it is pointless asking the central government to restore Jammu Kashmir special status. Aren't you then saying what the BJP loves to hear?
No, look, number one, central governments are not carved in stone. They are there for a period of 5 years. They have already been five, they've been elected for five more. Maybe five more, or maybe that could be the end. Finally, I do believe a government will come which will have a different opinion than this government. What I meant is that this government, that it is pointless to tell them, because for them it is a sense of achievement which they, all across the country they talk about. And I feel bad, when in Uttar Pradesh, where people should vote for my fellow Indians in Uttar Pradesh should vote on their economic well-being. And when they're being, told that we've taken Article 370, we've removed that. So why would they bring it back if they believe that by marketing it, they get some extra votes?
From being someone who has supported separatism to mainstream politics to Gupkar alliance and a minister, and from there a critic of the BJP, many people see you as a politician of contradictions. What are you all about, Mr. Sajad Lone?
I don't believe that we should stick to one thing. I'm not even 5% contradictory as others. There are people who has not aligned with BJP. NC has not, PDP has not, and I have also. So what is wrong in that? Yes, I was a separatist, a very, very moderate separatist who always thought. And when I was in separatism, those people who told you this used to tell that no, he is leaning towards mainstream. He is a phony separatist. So, but let me not, but I have a right. I evolved. I looked at separatism and found out that apart from suffering for the people of Kashmir, there is nothing in it. We are never going to get what these people have been told. That is never going to happen. Our future, our destiny is in peaceful coexistence. I repeat the word peaceful coexistence with India. This is our destiny, and that's where we belong, right? Dignified manner. And today, I still believe in the same things. Yes, I think that there doesn't seem to be a lot of dignity, and we'll have to fight for it, like any other person. I have a right to evolve. I have evolved. So has everybody else. So has everybody else in Kashmir. It's not only me. I don't belong to the elite sects, whether as a caste or as a part of society. I am a commoner, and that perhaps is my biggest sin.
But don't you think you've jumped too often?
No, never. I haven't at all. I have just come in 2014. to fight elections. The first time I fought elections.
Allow me to tread personal ground. People ask that your sympathy with Pakistan is natural, given that your wife is from Pakistan, and in that sense, you are the son in law of that country.
नहीं फिर then given that, then Shoaib Malik must have affinity to India. He is married to an Indian girl. I don't think so. I really, I can tell you, I have a great admiration for the people of Pakistan. They're nice people, good people, but as a country, with Pakistan has always had problems. I mean, see, if we had done a bit more, digged a bit more, there has always never been any love lost between an institution called Pakistan and personally me. Privately, yes, I have gone there many times, but I have had issues with them, especially after the killing of my late father. So I don't think there can ever be any meeting ground. Others can, I can't.
Mr. Lone, as husband and wife, what are your differences on Pakistan and how often do you clash?
No, we don't. My wife is a very educated person. She's a she writes, and she's in the middle of writing a book, and she has very different views from me. But I think we both respect each other, not to interfere either. I don't try to force my views on her, or neither does ever she even. But she does campaign for me. She campaigned for me, which many people thought at that time that she shouldn't. But she campaigned for me in 2014. She didn't talk any separatism or anything, but
Does
just
she believe in separatism?
my children are Indian. They belong to this country, and they don't have a bone of separatism in their body. So that's what matters.
Okay, let me ask you, what is your grouse with the BJP?
No, I don't have any grouse with them. I don't have any grouse with them. They, in fact, have been less, I would say, I wouldn't use the word cruel, but they've been benign. You talk of a Pakistani wife. My Pakistani wife was denied a visa, and my two minor kids, they were at 5 at that time, were languishing in Pakistan for 4 years. That was Congress. So I don't have any grouse or anything. But I really think that in the very long term, I don't think what they are up to now would be good for India or Indianness in the very long term. And Kashmir is not a T20 game. You cannot predict a victory or a defeat in a period of 1 year or 2 years. What you have done in Kashmir has ramifications which can only be evaluated in decades, not even in years. So, what you did today and how it panned out, it is our children who will have to either pay for it or rejoice because it was a good decision. God forbid if it was a bad decision. It is my children and other the new generation, they will have to pay for it. So that is the only grouse, is that just because you've been elected across the country doesn't mean that you overnight acquire that wisdom to deal in Kashmir. Kashmir is a specialist subject. It has to be you have to tread with care. You have to treat the people of Kashmir with love, like any other part in the country. And you also have to understand is that it is the people of Kashmir, a section of the people of Kashmir, who, at the end of the day, are the ones who are rendering sacrifices for their country. हाँ ये भी सच है that there are people who don't believe in this concept and they are against it. But then, it's not justice that you forget about people who render sacrifices, take a bullet, but then go after someone who's more audacious and say, no, I'm going to judge Kashmiris on the basis of what this person says, who does not believe in the concept of India, rather than a Kashmiri who believes in the concept of India. So your reference point should be those people in Kashmir who believe in the concept of India. You cannot let them down by allowing those people to define Kashmir who don't believe in the concept of India.
Words of wisdom from someone who supported separatism for a long time and also followed his father's footsteps. And your late father was a separatist leader.
Yes. Look, I will tell you, my father was a separatist, and and a hardcore one, while I was rather soft. लेकिन मुझे एक चीज बताओ, I'm just asking you, have you ever found out that why would an ex-congressman, nationalist party wala, go to separatism? Why is it that whenever I see our friends from the national media talk about Kashmir, they miss out 1987? If you did not have 1987, would you have that armed thing, terrorism and violence? So the soul searching has to be done in Delhi. That why did we have selective democracy in J&K, while as we did not have selective or exclusive democracy in other parts of the country, and we forced them. Rather than doing that soul searching, now you are going after that person. That why did you pick up a gun? Why did you're a secessionist? No. First do the soul searching.
Unlike your father, you followed a middle path. As you yourself said, you were a mild separatist.
Madam, look, I was different from my father right from day one. I lived abroad, right? My thought process was different, okay? I always thought in terms of third world and the first world. I always believed that economics is the main source of changing things in the entire world, including J&K. So my whole thought process was different. If you ask me today, it's been a very, very difficult journey, very difficult journey. If you ask me would I do it again, the answer is no, I would have never done it again. But once you get into something, it's very difficult to retrace your steps.
Are you regretting your decisions?
I'm not regretting. It would have been better off not to be a part of politics, to be very honest with you. There are so many challenges from uncles and aunties in Delhi that, somebody doesn't like your face, somebody doesn't like your social status, somebody doesn't like, there are so many things.
There is another thing said about you. You criticize the BJP. You have hit out several times, but you take care not to hit out at Prime Minister Modi. What is your politics?
Nini, I will tell you everything about Mr. Modi. I'm sure we can disagree on many things. But there is one thing certainly, that he allowed many Kashmiri politicians, or facilitated, I would not say allowed, but facilitated, that many politicians were able to sort of talk, come into focus, which was very restricted in the earlier regimes. I'm not speaking against Congress or anything, but it was a very, very restricted field, an exclusive field, like Eton in London, in Britain. Exclusive public school, private school boys. So I think they allowed more people to come in. They facilitated more people to come in.
Would you still say that Prime Minister Modi is your elder brother? Something you said earlier.
Yes, I will say that again. And I have no disrespect for him. Whenever I have met him, even during the all-party meeting that was held in Delhi, he went out of his way. He is always nice to me. That is a reality. Politics apart.
Mr. Lone, why is there a feeling that there is a secret arrangement between you and the BJP? And while you outwardly attack the party, internally you are hand in glove.
That is something which has been created by my political rivals. It could be true or it could be untrue, but there is no way I can disprove what you are saying. If we make a small mistake, hell breaks loose. It comes all of a sudden, bola na ye separatist test. Bola na aapko. So on one end, I'm a separatist if I make one mistake. If I make another mistake, I'm a proxy of BJP. So look at the two extremes. It happens within a day. One day I will be separatist ka beta, and the next day I will be BJP ka chota bhai. So that's how it is.
Would you say that Mr. Modi was among those who bridged the gap between elite politicians and the common politician, the common man politician in Kashmir?
You see, Mr. Modi, like anybody else, like you, like me, is a sum of many parts. A part of him, which post 2019 is something I will never agree with. But a part of him, which gave chance to other politicians, yes, I certainly would say that was nice. But the part of Mr. Modi, which did what they did since 2019 or doing now, or what they are doing now, disempowering people totally, handing over to bureaucracy, you know, that part of Mr. Modi I will never agree with. But the other part of Mr. Modi, whether out of love of Kashmir or because you might not like someone, wherein people were allowed to evolve, were allowed to come up, which earlier on was restricted, yes, that part certainly I would say yes, that was good. Why would I say that was bad?
So, given a chance and given a choice, would you consider working with the BJP?
I don't think so. I don't think their people would actually accept that in now. Because uh, as I told you, Goda घास से दोस्ती करेगा तो खाएगा क्या? You see, across the country, the way they behave with us fetches their votes. So it's very difficult, and they have to behave in a manner. The narrative has been created. Unless the narrative changes, unless the people of India decide to stand up and call a spade and see reality as it exists, then things will change. Then nothing with this thing won't happen. But then, as on date, it's very difficult because there's a lot of anger amongst the people for BJP, but of course they can't express it.
Why are you seen as a Kashmiri nationalist who speaks only for Kashmiri Muslims?
This time, I feel that the Kashmiri Muslim is being victimized. So that's why I'm talking about. Not because I'm a Muslim, because a Muslim is the victim. So trust me, my hand on my heart, if it was somebody from Jammu or Hindu or somewhere, religious affiliation doesn't bother me at all. It's least on my agenda. But we have to look at the victim. He's being victimized, A, because he's a Kashmiri, and B, because he's a Muslim. It's such hai.
Mr. Sajad Lone, thank you very much. Thank you for your time and thank you for being here with us.
Thank you.